This has been on my mind for years now, and it's come to my attention that a lot of people actually dislike Black Clover. I'd go as far as to say that they hate Black Clover, and for very minuscule, petty reasons. It's pretty arguable, it's pretty understandable, but what I want people to realize is that there's a lot more than what there seems when it comes to Black Clover. Of course, you can dismiss it as a run-of-the-mill shonen, but in terms of run-of-the-mill shonens, Black Clover's execution is handled in such a completely different way that it makes it all the more entertaining to read compared to other manga. This is because, unlike most manga, Black Clover is actually really fun to read. And when I say this, the fact that it's a shonen shouldn't take away from its qualities. It's very surface level. If you really want to look at it through a certain lens, and as a reader, you can choose to either stay on the surface or go deep into Black Clover's roots and truly appreciate the little things that it does. The thing is, this manga has something for everybody. If you feel like casually reading something and just turning your brain off and just enjoying set pieces, you can do that. But if you absolutely want to think about the thing that you're reading and try and understand what Black Clover does to separate itself from its contemporaries, then there's a lot of entertainment value to be had with this manga. And of course, Black Clover has a really strong set of fights due to its open-ended power system. Literally, Black Clover can have huge battles with like at least 4 people fighting each other at one time, and there will be nothing but action on each and every page. And this isn't even me getting started on the context of as to how and why all these characters are fighting, because a lot of this comes out as a mystery, and then you will, once you find this thing out later on in the story, and then you also go back and reread it, that's another one of Black Clover's qualities. It has a lot of replay value because you not only do you get to look at it through a perspective of ignorance when you first read it, but once you come to understand things and look at it a second time, it hits that much harder and you get a completely different vibe from everything you just read at first. And another thing that I really appreciate from this series is it's not afraid to get its hands dirty. It'll make people bleed, it'll try and kill characters off, and I really have no problem with that at all. It's actually very entertaining the way Yūki Tabata will sometimes tease deaths and then even backpedal on that same death, because what this does, it keeps your guard down as a reader. And so once he eventually and finally pulls the rug out from under your feet, the shock value is going to hit that much harder. Because when it comes to Black Clover, what it does really good, what I really just have to compare it to a lot of the times, it makes me think shonen Berserk. You have so many instances where you have scumbags trying to like capture women and turn them into slaves. You have like guys trying to even like rape women in Black Clover. And when stuff like this happens in the manga, I'm just so shook how he finesses this and still keeps it shonen. It really reminds me of Berserk, and that's one thing I really like about it a lot, is how it really just shows the scumbags of society, and it pins our main character against these guys, and then you see them clash. That's something that I really find to be so entertaining in this manga, and that's one of the very basic things when it comes to storytelling. The antagonist versus the protagonist. But Black Clover does it in such a way, you won't know which side to root for anymore. And a lot of the things that he does in terms of conflict will come out of nowhere. And that's what I really like, because although it's a basic way to tell a story, it's just done so well that it still stays fresh. And even with me calling it Shonen Berserk, and many other people comparing this series to Fairy Tail, Naruto, Seven Deadly Sins, and any other shonen on the fucking planet, Black Clover still sustains its own identity somehow. And that's what makes me really appreciate it a lot more than a lot of other things that I have been reading. Asta wants to be Wizard King. Luffy wants to be Pirate King. Naruto wants to be the Hokage. With these 3 characters all having the same goals, fuck it, even Midoriya wants to be the world's #1 hero. Asta still sustains his own identity with his contemporaries. He's completely different than these guys. And most people are going to sit here and say that he's the same, a clone. And yet, when you actually look at the story, he can stand on his own 2 feet in his own story. And it's very, very satisfying to see Asta gruel, struggle, and even cry sometimes. It's very heartwarming, to say the least, because you don't get to see a side to such characters. You get to see Asta at his best and Asta at his weakest. I know a lot of what I'm saying sounds familiar. It feels very familiar. It seems like you've seen this all before. But the thing is, you haven't seen it quite like this. And that's what I'm really trying to drill home. It's the same, but it's different at the same time. And the thing that really fascinates me most about Black Clover is when magic really comes into play. When you get to see the other kingdoms in Black Clover. You know, the Heart Kingdom, the Spade Kingdom, the Diamond Kingdom. And yet these worlds and other places are still led to be a mystery. And not only that, you get to explore underwater kingdoms. It's so cool seeing Asta fight water-infused knights. Like, it's so awesome seeing things like that. Or seeing, like, water become a case of stairs. And they just go take their boat and sail up these stairs. See, things like that are what makes me really happy, because you get to really see the creativity put at work. The creativity at its best when magic is put into play in Black Clover. And that's what makes it so strong. Magic in Black Clover doesn't feel like an excuse to have cool shit happen. There's actually a lot of thought put into the magic, because not only does magic affect our main character because he doesn't have any, but magic also affects the entire world around them. This is what really makes this manga special. The magic will change society. The magic will cause the rich and the poor to go at each other's necks. The magic will change the life of our main character, and not only that, but the people around him, due to the circumstances in which they are fighting. When they have to go against someone who has a weaker element, advantage and disadvantage states due to magic are one of the very simple concepts that I'm just trying to bring up to provide as an example so that everyone can understand. But there's so much more to magic. I could literally go on for so long of a time, but I don't want this video to drag on longer than it should. I just can't stress enough that Black Clover could potentially be hitting its climax, and you do not want to miss it, because it's going to be crazy. I can guarantee that. Don't miss out on this chance to experience Black Clover, because I can guarantee you, although it's being hated on now, once Black Clover really hits its pinnacle, its peak, everyone is going to be talking about it.